All right, the last time I talked about the Slate truck, some of you agreed with me. Some of you were enthusiastic Slate defenders, and some of you were convinced I was a hater. I am not a hater. I'm a guy with a calculator and a memory of automotive history. So let me finish my thought. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here. Quick recap. I built my ideal Slate on the configurator. Tan wrap, squared off SUV body kit, big battery, power windows, real seats, door armrests. I'm still mad about those things not being standard, by the way. Who would not want an armrest on the door? Anyway, speakers, center console, leather dash wrap. I skipped the roof rack. I skipped the spare tire carrier. I didn't option on the running boards, and I definitely skipped those fancy wheel cover thingies. But my whole point to this is that there is no accessory pricing posted anywhere on their site. So I did the next best thing. I asked 3 AI systems, Claude, ChatGPT, and Grok, to estimate my configured build based on everything publicly known. All 3 clustered in the same range, $38,000 to $45,000, with the most likely landing at around $40,000 to $44,000 before tax, before any remaining state credits. That is what the price that I kind of estimated in my head, and apparently the AIs agreed with me. And the comment section, to put it charitably, had thoughts. So let me say the quiet part out loud here, the one that I didn't fully finish the last time. If those AI estimates are right, if a reasonably optioned Slate with a big battery and the SUV kit actually lands at $40,000 to $44,000, then the Slate, no matter how much I genuinely find the concept intriguing, is fighting a really steep uphill battle. Not a slope, a cliff face. Here's why. When the Slate was announced, comments exploded. I want one. This is exactly what America needs. I've always wanted a simple little truck, and I appreciate that sentiment. I really do. But the comments are not deposits. Deposits are not orders, and orders are not deliveries, and somewhere along that chain, a very specific historical pattern tends to emerge with small trucks in America. People say they want them, and then they don't buy them. Let me walk you through the graveyard, because this is important. The Chevy S10, introduced in '82, first compact pickup from a major American domestic brand. Chevy's direct response to the Japanese mini trucks that were eating their lunch. Practical, affordable, popular for decades, gone in 2004. Not because it was bad, but because buyers had quietly started migrating upward in size and feature content. How about the Ford Ranger, introduced in '83, became one of the most popular trucks in America. Ford sold 75,000 of them in a year, even after doing virtually nothing to update it since 1994. And then it was discontinued in 2011, not because the demand completely disappeared, but because Ford decided it wasn't worth the investment to redesign it when the margins were already thin and the F-150 was printing money. The Chevy Colorado, the S10's replacement, was supposed to be the compact truck that survived. It didn't stay compact though, it grew. The version on the market today is essentially what I knew as a full-size pickup when I was a kid. The Dodge Ram, by the way, that's what I imagine as a full-size pickup. The Colorado absorbed the market segment above it, not the one below it. The Toyota Tacoma, same story. The Tacoma that replaced the original Tacoma compact pickup in '95 was compact by that era standards. Today's Tacoma, it's a mid-sized truck that wouldn't fit in the same category as the original without a shoehorn and an apology. The tiny Toyota pickup that started the brand's reputation for bulletproof reliability is a historical artifact. Here's the pattern. Every time the American market got a small, simple, affordable pickup, the manufacturers inevitably had the same experience. The buyers who said they wanted simple and small gradually optioned up, then grew up, then thought bigger, and the manufacturers followed that money upward because the margins are thin at the bottom and they're fat at the top. And today's base Tacoma or Colorado starts at around $30,000 with mid-level trims easily crossing $40,000. What used to be a nice, nimble 2,700-pound compact truck is now a 4,000-pound full-size machine. The Maverick is probably the closest thing we currently have to a return to the original mission. It's compact-ish, has a hybrid powertrain, it's under 30 grand to start by a fraction of a penny, has 4 doors and 5 seats, and it has sold pretty well. But even the Maverick is not really tiny. It's about 2 feet longer than the Slate. Now here's the thing the comment section tends to overlook. Nobody killed the compact market by making a bad product here. They killed it by following the money away from it. And the money keeps going away because Americans, despite what they say in comment sections, keep buying bigger when given the option. It's a proven behavioral pattern across multiple decades and multiple manufacturers. So when I see 160,000 Slate reservations and then I see the comment enthusiasm, I hear what the comment section is saying, and I also hear the echo of every focus group that has ever said, yes, I absolutely want a small, simple, affordable truck before going home and buying a full-size truck. Listen, I am one of those 160,000 reservations Reservations. I am curious to see what the prices come in at. It seems like an awesome concept, but the price can easily get somewhere that makes the comments disconnected from the sales. Reservations at $50 refundable deposits are not sales. Tesla had 250,000 Cybertruck reservations in the first week. The Cybertruck had appalling sales in 2025. Reservations are enthusiasm monitors, not demand forecasts. Now, here's the scenario where I think Slate actually wins, and I genuinely hope this is what happens. What if the numbers they're advertising or even talking about are wrong? Not the AI estimates of the configured truck. Those seem well-reasoned and grounded in comparable product pricing. But what if the base Slate is actually a $15,000 to $17,000 truck? Think about what that would mean. At $15,000 to $17,000 for the bare base truck, the story changes completely because now you can spec the SUV conversion kit and a handful of those other options and land the final vehicle at the $26,000 to $28,000 price point. That's Chevy Trax money. That's Ford Maverick money. That's the price band, I think, where a genuinely interesting alternative compact EV could make real headway against conventional small cars and compact SUVs. At $26,000 to $28,000 for a nicely optioned EV SUV, the Slate isn't fighting the Model Y. It's fighting the Trax, the Maverick, the Kia Soul, the Hyundai Venue. That's a battle it can actually win on concept alone because the EV operating cost advantage is real too. And the NACS supercharger access is real, and the customizability is a genuinely appealing factor at that price. And at that price, it becomes a genuinely interesting alternative for first-time vehicle buyers, urban and suburban commuters, and people who need something reliable and cheap to run without spending $40,000. Because at $40,000 fully optioned, it's fighting the Model Y. And the Model Y has 4 doors, 5 real seats, 300 miles of range, proven reliability, a decade of software refinement, and the largest charging network in the world. And that's not a fight the Slate wants to try to win, because I don't know that it can. The June 2026 pricing announcements is going to be the moment of truth. When they publish the actual accessory prices, the SUV kit, the battery upgrade, the wraps, the interior options, we'll know exactly which story this is. If the base pickup is genuinely sub $20,000 and a nicely spec'd SUV version is under $28,000, Slate has a product and they have a market and they have a real shot. If the base is $27,500 and a nicely spec'd version runs $40,000 to $44,000, Slate has that crazy uphill battle. I wouldn't call it a death sentence because there's a niche for everything and the brand has enough investor backing and credibility to survive early struggles, but that makes it a real uphill battle in my opinion. The people who show up in the comments and always say they wanted a simple little truck, I think are the same people who said the same thing about the Ranger and the S10 and the Tacoma and then bought a full-size SUV. The reality always wins over comments, and the reality of small trucks in America is a long, well-documented story of popular enthusiasm that failed to translate into sustained sales. Listen, my hope, and I truly mean this, is that the Slate has figured out something the legacy manufacturers couldn't, that they've used that Amazon supply chain brain trust, that $1.5 billion in funding and that Indiana factory investment to actually hit a structural cost point that makes the math work for buyers below $30,000. Because if they have, it's going to be totally fetch. It's a genuinely exciting new category in American transportation. A simple, affordable, customizable, clean energy small truck that fills the gap that's been sitting empty since that S10 rolled off the assembly line in 2004. But if they haven't, the comment section is going to need to have a long, honest conversation with itself about the difference between saying you want something and actually putting some money down and buying it. I'll be watching June very, very closely, and you should too, because it's going to tell us probably a lot. Peter Von Panda, out.